Right, let's start today's session. In the last session, we were discussing about data types in Python. So we have seen basic data types and as well as sequence data types. We were discuss about string, list, and then tuple. So we'll continue today few more data types. Let me open previously what I discussed in previous session. Okay, yeah. So in previous session we discussed these data types here. So Python supports these are the data types like none, numeric type like int, float, bool, complex, and sequence types are string, list, tuple, set, dictionary, bytes, byte array, frozen set. And we discussed in the last session this string data structure and list and then tuple. Only basic things I discussed. And but in coming sessions we will discuss in detailed about string and its operations, its functionalities, list functionalities, and tuple functionalities. Now today what is set and how to create set we'll discuss. See, set is somewhat different from tuple and list. So set is unordered collection of unordered collection of unique elements. Yes, unordered collection of unique elements. Unique elements, no duplicate values. Set will not allow duplicates. Even if you take some duplicate values, it will simply ignore. It won't accept the duplicate values. So set is unordered. Unordered means no order. So when we create a set with collection of elements and same order, it's not going to appear in the output window. That is unordered collection of unique elements, I can say. Set is unordered collection of unique elements. Next, set can be created. How to create set? Set can be created by using curly brackets. Set can be created by using what? Curly brackets. Yes. How we can create tuple? By using round brackets, but brackets are optional while creating tuple. And how we can create list? By using square bracket. Brackets are compulsory. How we can create string? A string can be created within the quotes. Okay. Yes. Now same set can be created by using curly brackets. And next, set will allow different 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 data type elements. Different data type elements means, yes, we can include in set integer value, string value, character value, float value, like this. So set will allow different data type elements here. And next, set is set is immutable. Set is immutable object. So we can modify that. Once we create a set, once we create a set that can be modified. That can be modified. Modification is possible here. Tuple is immutable. We cannot modify. List is mutable. We can modify. String is immutable. We cannot modify. Set is immutable. Sorry. Set is mutable, sir. It's completely wrong statement. Sorry for that. Set is mutable. Once we create a set, that can be modified. Yes, modification of set elements are possible. So these are the set rules and regulations. Set is unordered collection of unique elements, no duplicates, but order is also not compulsory and it will not maintain the order. But tuple and the list and the string, these are all going to be maintain order actually. Yes, all the these data structures will maintain the order, but set will not maintain the order. We can create set by using this curly brackets, and set will allow different data type elements and it is mutable. Once we create a set, that can be modified. Yes, let's look into practical. So let me open first your project. So to open your project in PyCharm editor, let's go to open option and you have to select your project name clearly. This is my project name which I discussed from previous sessions. It's just I'm opening, now you can see the last program which I have seen in my uh, tuple case actually. This is the tuple case. Now I want to create a set here. How to create set? So S equals to, suppose here I'm taking empty set. But strictly remember, empty set is not possible to create using curly brackets, like empty curly brackets. Okay, so this leads to dictionary actually here. When we try to create empty set, this leads to dictionary. Why? Because in Python programming, dictionary also can be created by using curly brackets, like empty curly brackets. So it leads to dictionary, DICT, dict. It's not a set, it is a dictionary completely. So how to create an empty set? Yes, to create an empty set, we use set function, not curly brackets, empty curly brackets. To create a set, empty set, we use what function? Set function is there here. So I'm using function and set created. And what is the set object name? Yes. Okay, S is a set object name. So later we can add the set elements clearly. So this is empty set creation clearly here. And don't use empty set purpose. We use don't use this empty curly brackets. So this is not going to be treated as set. It's completely dictionary set. Okay. Yes. So set function is required for creating set. Empty set, especially empty set. Empty list, empty tuple, normally we can create. Empty list means empty square bracket, and empty tuple means empty round brackets. Empty string means within the single quotes or double quotes, no values. That is empty. But when it comes to set, empty set can be created by using set function only here. This point also I'm adding here. To create an empty set, then we use set function. To create an empty set, to create an empty set, then we use set function actually. This is the function sir actually. Okay, yes. Now coming to the set with elements, I would like to show you. Set with elements. What order I'm maintaining, you can see 10, 20, 30, and names I'm taking, and character also I'm taking, float value. But this is completely unordered collection of unique elements. Now you can see what order I maintain here while creating set. Same order is not available here in the output. This is different order completely. Okay, order is not required here, unordered collection of elements, but unique elements, no duplicates. In case if I include some of the duplicate elements like 110 is already there, but one more 10 I'm taking here. So only 110 will be considered. This is no duplicate values. If you give duplicate values, it won't give any error. Rather than that, it will simply ignore one value. So it will consider only unique values only here. Now you can see 10, 20, 30. These values unordered completely. Now how many times you're executing but same order, don't expect here. Order will be changed completely. Okay, every time order will be changed, not same order as it is. So this is what actually set creation, and we can include inside the set elements like any number of values and any values we can include. It is completely unordered and no duplicate values here. And set is mutable. We can once we create a set that can be modified. Mutable means what? Modification will allow general. Okay. Yeah, just wait. So mutable means we can modify the set values, and for modifying the set values, we have some set functions. If you want to know that what are the functions are available on set data structure, simply we just pass the command like this one, print dir of, print is the output function, dir of directory list, then set. I want to know the set related functionalities completely here. Now you can see we got this set related functionalities. Add function is there, which is used to add item to the set or value to the set. Clear means making empty set. Copy means to copy the set. Differences, difference update, discard, intersection update, is disjoint, is subset, superset, pop, remove. These are all the methods related to set only. And this command, you know that for every data structure, what functionalities are there. If you want to know that, then we can pass this command. Print a directory of dir means directory function of any data structure. So this is set related things. And whenever you want to maintain the collection, that will be unique actually. If you don't want to accept any duplicate values, then we can go for set. And if you want to take group of elements with all duplication and with all modification and with all different data type elements, then go for list only. So according to your requirement, you have to decide which data structure is suitable for your collection of elements. Okay, each and every data structure, it's having its own rules, and one data structure cannot be one data structure rule we cannot apply for other data structure. That is also important here. Okay, now coming to the dictionary here, DICT, consider as dictionary in Python. What is dictionary here? Dictionary is a collection of items. Dictionary is a collection of items, and in dictionary, each item each item each item contains a key and value pair. Key and value pair actually here. Each item contains a key and value pair. So in general, in the context of list and set and tuple, one item is nothing but one element or one value. But in the context of dictionary, one item is nothing but what actually key and value pair. In dictionary, each item contains key and value pair. So I will tell you how to create dictionary here. DICT, dictionary can be created by using curly brackets. Yes, set and dictionary both can be created by using this same curly brackets here. Okay. Yes, in dictionary, in dictionary, keys are keys. Yes, it is, every item is considered as one key and value pair. In dictionary, keys are immutable. That means once we create a key, we cannot change and must be unique. And must be unique means unique keys only we have to maintain, no duplicate keys. Duplicate keys will not allow in dictionary context. In dictionary, keys are immutable, means once we create a dictionary keys that cannot be modified, and must be unique also. Keys must be unique, and values need not to be unique. So in dictionary, values are mutable. Mutable means modification is possible with values, and no need to be unique. No need to be unique. Unique values are not required. Even duplicate values are required. No issues. For example, let us consider we are all our employees. So every employee will have that unique ID. The ID must be unique, no duplicate. Same ID we cannot allow to different employees. But values means employee names. Yes, same name. So with the different people, different employees. So same name can have multiple persons, no issues at all. That is value. Just for example, I'm telling. In dictionary, keys are immutable. Immutable means once we create a keys, we cannot change that key, and must be unique, and unique keys only it will accept, duplicate keys will not accept. And values are mutable means we can modify the values, and no need to be unique, values can be duplicate. But here in dictionary, keys and values, maximum actually, keys and values can be of any data type. Any data type means like integer, string, character, float, these only. Okay, in dictionary, key can be of integer or character or string or float. And also value can be a character or string or float or list also sometimes. Yes, list also. Values can be modified. Group of values we can maintain in dictionary, list also. Values can be of list also. Okay, that we'll discuss in detailed in later sessions, how to create dictionary keys with list values. And next, to create what we can say, empty dictionary. If you want to create empty dictionary directly, we can use empty curly brackets. It leads to dictionary only clearly. So these are the dictionary related. Keys immutable and values mutable. Keys must be unique, values no need to be unique. And keys and values can be of mostly any data type like integer, string, character, float, like that. And each item contains key and value pair. Dictionary is a collection of items here. So let's try to create one dictionary here. So look at here, I'm taking D to D for dictionary, and this is empty dictionary here. Print D, print type of D. If you want to know that what type it is, dictionary type here. I'm taking just type of D. This is what dictionary type. And here I'm trying to create. Here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this dictionary now? No, it will not treated as dictionary because these are only items. When we give these values inside this curly brackets, then only it will treated as set only. Now you can see set elements are there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Set values are considering here, but it's not a dictionary. But how it will become dictionary? When it will become dictionary? Now you can see 1 is a key, next value is a this one, value is this one, next 2 is a key, so Durga is value here, next 3 is a key, Mohan is the value. These are all dictionary key and values here. So 1, 2, 3 are keys here, and these values are these one values here. Sai, Durga, Mohan, these are the values here. So 1 Sai, 2 Durga, 3 Mohan here. Class dictionary here, dictionary type only. So next I'm taking keys are all are integer type I'm taking. For example, I'm taking string values also, like keys can be of string like name. Okay, yes, it is a name only. It is name is string only. Even key can be a floating also. Just I'm taking floating value. So just I'm trying how it will work. Okay, and values can be of string, or value can be of character, or value can be of integer also. Suppose integer value I'm taking like this value. Okay, this is what mixed data types. And just observe here, already one key is there with the name called Sai, but I'm taking one more key here, one Raj. So this is duplicate key actually here. Already key present in dictionary with the name called Sai, but again we have one key and which is associated with Raj. And any one key value pair is going to be accepted here. It will not allow duplicate keys. Here you can see this one is duplicate, this one is duplicate. In any one key only will be accepted. Understand here? This is only clear. And next, if you want to change the values, you can change the values, but we cannot change the key once we create. So that is mutable and immutable terminology. We will discuss later clearly how to change the key and values, all those things. Keys cannot be changed, values can be changed. So this is mapping or dictionary, we can call it as. Okay, and generally when we are talking about employee details, student details, which we are getting from database, if you want to display in dictionary structure in the console output window, generally we use dictionary concept. Even in object-oriented programming, while creating objects for the class, and then you want to display some object references, generally we use this dictionary dictionary concept here. So we'll discuss later more details about dictionary clearly. So just I'm taking basic important points I'm covering, what is what actually here. And the next coming to the range. So range is used to generate range of values. Okay. So range is used to generate range of values or sequence of values. Now here when it comes to range here, by default range will start by default range will start from 0. Yes, so by default range will start from 0 only. If you want starts your range from any number, you can use it, no problem at all. So if you want to start your range number like 10, then you can use 10 only. Starting at range 10 onwards, it will be increase the values. How much increment you want also you can decide it. I'll show you how it will be how we can create range of values by using range function. So range is used to generate range of values. By default range will start from 0, and range is range is immutable. Range is immutable, that we cannot modify. That we cannot modify actually here. Once we create a range of values, we cannot modify. So these are 3 points related to range. Let me show you a quick example how to create range. So now you can see R equals to range of 10, means 10 range of values I want to create. But by default range will start from where? 0 only. So now I'm trying to print R here and just try to print type of R here, type of R, type of R. Now observe here, what type it is? Range type. But is that create all the range collection like 0 to 9, 0 to 10? No. So range of 0 comma 10 only there here. It is appearing only 0 starting value and up to 10. But make sure that this range will not create 10 values here, up to 10 values. 10 will not include it, not a part of range of collection. It's excluding. 10 is going to excluding. But why it is not printing 10 values here? Yes. So if you want to print this 10 values, range of 10 values, this R is a range type. This type you have to be converted into list format. So let's try to convert into list format. Now we can see print list, list of R. Not only list, even you can consider tuple also, tuple or set or something. Let's run this. We are getting list of values. Range is starting from 0 and ending with what? 9 only, not including 10, up to 10 that is. If you want to create range of 10 values 0 to 10, then you have to use range values 11, then 11 is excluding and 10 is including. And even we can start our range from any number, like I'm just starting number is 2. Okay, starting value is 2. So I'm just starting range is 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Here, these are the range values are coming. And even you can able to use step value also here. Just here it is. I'm just giving comment here. Start value is 2. Stop value is 11. And step value also we can give this. How much you want increment each time. So now I'm taking step values 2 only. So every increment 2 is going to be increment, like every step 2 is going to increment. 2 plus 2 4 plus 2 6 plus 2 8 plus 2 10. Or else if I give 3 here, 2 plus 3 5 plus 3 8 plus 3 11. 8 plus 3 11. 11 is not included, so that's what 258 only we are getting here. This is the range of values here. This is range data type. Now coming to the bytes, byte array, frozen set. These three data structures we cannot create directly, like how I create range, how I create dictionary, how I create string, list, tuple directly. But these three, and these three means like bytes, byte array, frozen set, cannot create directly. So you can create these three data structures by taking help of list or help of set or help of tuple only. So that's what much more I'm not going to discuss here. And after completion of this data structure detailed discussion, at that time I will include these three data structures also with functionalities. What is bytes, byte array, frozen set? Later we'll discuss. Excuse me. So this is not right situation to discuss about bytes, byte array, frozen set. Anyway, after completion of our control structures or control statements, again we'll discuss these all data structures in detail, like string operations, list operations, like tuple operations, functionalities, all these things. At that time we will cover bytes, byte array, frozen set also. Okay, right. So right now I'm going to start with the control statements. Yes, control statements in Python. So control statements are common in every programming language. Control statements are used to maintain the control flow of your program execution. So control statements are used to maintain the control flow of program execution. Using these control statements, we can decide based on condition which part of the program need to be executed, which part of the program need not to be executed. You can decide that based on control statements. So once if you use control statements in your program, you can have some control on it. Okay. So when the code should execute, when should not. So you can decide based on your requirement. So control statements are three types. One is conditional statements. conditional statements. Next one is iterative statements. Iterative statements. Next, transfer statements here. Transfer statements. Transfer statements. These are the three types of control statements are there. What are the conditional statements here? Yes, let me list out conditional statements one by one. If is there, next if else, next nested if, then elif keyword is there. This is also used for nested if. I will tell you what is the use of elif keyword. This means else if it is. elif stands for else space if. It is short form of else space if only, but there is no else space if. We cannot use in Python, that will not possible. So only we have to make short form elif only. This is the keywords, and for your kind information, these are all keywords only. If is a keyword, else is a keyword, elif is a keyword, all this. And coming to the iterative statements, yes, iterative statements are there. So for loop, then while loop. Even we can use nested for loop, nested while loop, that is different issue. And there is no do while loop in Python programming, that's what I'm not including. And there is no switch case in Python programming. Switch also not. Switch is a conditional statement actually, but we have not included because of switch is not supports here. Switch is not there. And do while loop also not there here. Now coming to the transfer statements, break is one transfer statement and continue is another transfer statement. Continue, and then pass is a keyword here. Pass is also one more transfer statements here. So break, continue, pass, these are all transfer statements. So first we look into this conditional statement here. Okay, what is if and if else, nested if, elif. So it's very simple and straightforward. It's not a big deal. If is used to test a specific condition. If the condition is true, then if block code will execute. Otherwise, else block code will execute. If you include else block. So let me check out the if syntax here, how it will be. If syntax. So Python syntax if condition is this one only. If space condition colon some indentation is required, then statements you have to include. This is if condition body statements. This is the body of the if condition statements. So I have to leave some space here, then only these statements will be considered under if block only. So here I am taking condition here. So here usage of brackets are optional. Okay, and usage of what we can say semicolon or something like optional here, not compulsory. A semicolon in Python programming not compulsory required. You can see if I'm giving semicolon, it will work fine here. It won't give any error, it will work, but not required. I'm saying it is optional to use here, end of the statement purpose, because it is line by line execution. Python programming language is interpreted language, so no need to give the semicolon for ending the line. Okay, yeah, same here. I'm taking if condition here. Yes, if I'm not going to use any bracket. If you want, you can use brackets, this will work fine, but not required actually. So I'm taking I'm just declaring the value here, I equals to 100. Now you can see if I equals to 100, just I'm comparing, then colon, then press enter. Automatically the indentation levels are matching. So after 4 space leaving, then you have to start from here only. So if your condition is true, then I have to say true here. So now you can say I value 100 equal to 100, that is true. True means control will jump into inside the if block, this code will execute. But in case condition is false, 10 equal to 100 is not correct. If not correct, then where it has to move? Out of the if block. But out of the if block, there is no code. So simply no output here. In this case, even if your condition is wrong, if you want to display something, then we can go for else block. Here else block I'm trying to do. Else block through I'm displaying what actually false. This is very simple condition. If else. Okay. Yes. So else block is executing here. But how do you know control is moving into which block? So to know or to trace where your control is moving, whether it is coming inside the if block or inside the else block, how do you know that? So just by keeping breakpoint and you can start debugging option, so that you will come to know that your control is going to inside the if block or inside the else block. Which block is considering, you will come to know that. Just how to keep the breakpoint here, you can see, click with mouse here. There is the red circle. This is the breakpoint option. And again, click with mouse here. This is breakpoint. If you want to remove breakpoint again, you can click over there. Just I'm keeping two condition breakpoint here. Generally condition lines we have to keep the breakpoint. After keeping the breakpoint, just right click on this test2.py, and generally we will use this run test2 run command, but you should not use run now this time, because you are going to do some debugging option. Debugging means just a tracing, and just have the debug test. Click on debug test, and immediately debugger window is opening here in the output window, output terminal. Now you can see debugger and console terminal. Which one you want, you can see. Right now I am in the debugger window here, and now you can see whenever debugger window started and your program here, I have assigned 10 value here, I value is 10. Okay, you can expand this. So integer type of I here, 10 values holding that. Now after that, see, place the mouse pointer on equal to symbol, just click on it. Once you click on it, what is happening here? Just nothing is going to show here IntelliSense here. So once you can see I'm placing mouse pointer on I value 10, I equal to 100. So I'm placing equal to symbol, mouse pointer on equal to symbol, it is boolean value returning false only here. But next I want to check whether my control is moving into inside the if block or inside the else block. For this, I strongly recommend to press from your keyboard function key plus F8, which is the function key plus F8 you have to press. Then only you can see control is moving into next line. But which line it is jumping directly? Inside the false, inside the else block. That means else block is considering here, if block is ignoring. Again press F8. So once we control is jump out of the program, then if you want to see the output, just click on this console window tab here. Right now we are in the debugger window tab, and console window tab is showing false only. Again let me check once again. I'm just making 100 value here, right click on it, and debug test, debug test, debug test, debug test. Okay, debugger window started again, and you can check it here. Right now it is showing boolean value true only, 100 equal to 100 true. And I'm going to press now function key plus F8 now, where it is going control is moving into inside the if block only. So simply again function key plus F8, control is jumping out of the if else block, and you can see this true is available. So which block of code is considering? If you want to know that, then you can check by using breakpoint option here. Just keep the breakpoint wherever you want, and just simply right click on the program name, which program you want to run, and simply debug test, debug option is there. You can click on debug, and next step is what? You just wait for a few seconds. Debugger window started here. Once debugger window started, you can keep on press function key plus F8, so that you can trace your program line by line what's happening internally. So that will be easily we can able to find it here. Okay, so this is what actually simple if else condition here. If you want to stop debugging, means you want to come out of the run, means while program is executing right now, I don't want to continue this program, I want to stop debugging, then what we need to do here? So simply you can see, go to run menu and stop test2. This is the stop option. Or else here itself you can see left hand side, stop test2 is available or not. Yes, click over there, and your program will be out of the run. So happily you can able to write extend the code also here. So this is actually debugging process. Line by line code we can able to check. So actually here not required, but when it comes to bigger programs, like if you write 100 lines of code, somewhere you did mistake and your program is not going to do well, in which line the error is available, so what is the problem, if you want to trace out, these options are useful actually in the Python program. Okay, so this is simple if else condition here I have written, and any condition you can write it, this condition through it will work. For example, I want to accept value at runtime here. Just I'm taking runtime value here, int of input of, so enter a number. Just I'm asking number. So that number is even number or odd number. This is very simple, straightforward program here I'm taking everywhere. So int I percentage equals to 0. Then I can say that is even number. Otherwise I can say that is what actually odd number. This is just if else condition programming. So it is looking common, but it is looking simple, but it's very important if else management in every programming language. So enter a number. I'm entering number is 8. That is easy one. And this 8 also I want to display in the output window. So you have to add this I variable to your output statements like I comma and I. So now this time what will happen here? I is even or odd. You can decide it based on your number. So any condition you can able to check. Suppose if I want to accept two numbers at runtime, two numbers, enter number. This is very basic programs are actually, so it is not required, but just I'm saying this how to manage your code. Simple conditions through j equals to enter num to here. This is very basics. And I greater than j, for example, any operator you can use. This is operator, greater than is operator. So I greater than j means so I is biggest value. I'm just finding which is the biggest value. Otherwise j is biggest value. I'm saying here j is biggest value. Sorry, why I'm removing this? No. So j value I'm passing to here my output variable, output statements. Let's run this and just enter any number here, 67 and 34. So we got 67 is the biggest value, just for checking. So if else condition we have to use here. This is the way you can accept this at runtime and check the condition you want, and based on condition which statement you want to execute, that you can keep inside the block or else block. And even you can see here I'm just using brackets also. Yes, brackets. So brackets are optional. If you want you can use it, or else you just ignore it, no issues at all. So it will work, it's not compulsory. Okay, it will work here. Generally I am not going to use any brackets in my programming, so even if you want you can close the brackets also here. So this is simple if else statements here. And next coming to the nested if. Nested if in the sense a if block or else block which is having one or more if else blocks within it is called nested if. Or else nested if is used to test multiple condition clear. It is used to test what actually? Multiple conditions. So for example, one of the condition is false, and even we can check more conditions, means one more condition, even that false, and we can proceed with more another condition. So multiple condition if you want to test, if you want to check, then nested if we can use. Generally nested if is nothing but a if block which is having one more if else within it is called nested if. Let me show you that also clearly. So I'm just saying that here I value, enter a number, enter a number, any number you can enter at runtime. So just I'm taking here if I greater than 20, or any number you can take random, just simple example I'm taking. Now here I'm taking, so I is greater than 20, I can say that. In case if not, it will go to what? Else block. Again in else block what I'm taking, if I greater than 15 I'm taking, just one more condition. Now here I is greater than 15, greater than 15. Even in case this is also wrong, then I should go to what? Finally this else block here. Then else block through what I want to print here. So I is my input value is not greater than any condition you can write. So I'm writing simple condition greater than 15 and 20 only. So first whatever we enter the input value that will stored into I variable, and it will check the condition. If I greater than 20, this block will execute. Otherwise control will jump into here. If I is again one more time, it will check the condition. If I is greater than 15, and this block will execute, and else block will ignore. And most importantly, else block will execute only when if condition is false. When if is false, then only else block will execute. Otherwise, no. Else block will not execute. Else block will execute. Else block will consider only if the condition is false. Then only else block will consider. If the condition is true, then if block will execute, else block simply ignore. So in this case, you can see my input is I'm just giving here 9. So first it will go to here 9 greater than 20, false. It will jump into here 9 greater than 15, false. Again it will jump into here. Finally we will it will show this 9 is not greater than 15 and 20 here you can see. And simple logic. And now coming to this point here, next I'm giving 15 or 16. So 16 is greater than 15. Yes, it is. This condition is checking. First it will check this. It is false. It will go to here and it will check the condition. Then it is true. Then it will print here only. And in case if your condition is tested here, initial stage only, that is true, then that is only display here if block. This block is going to execute and this totally will be ignored here. This is nested if. Inside the if or else block, then we include one more if else, that is called nested if. It is used to test multiple condition. It's very simple, it's not a big deal. And there is elif keyword is there. Yes, elif also is used for nested if only. So why elif is required, I will tell you. In what case we use generally, I will tell you here. So for elif is a keyword, and for showing the elif example I'm taking here, you can see I'm taking I value at runtime. I'm just taking multiple ifs are here. I equals to 1. Then I need to print just simple program like ONU1. I want to say that. This is not a nested if or kind information. These are multiple ifs only I'm taking. Multiple ifs means more than one ifs. Yes, more than one ifs I'm taking. If I equals to 3, then print what I'm taking, just 3 here. And next last one, I equals to 4. If I equals to 4, then print what actually 4 here, FOU or 4. And finally one else block, I want to keep this here, just making invalid number here. If in case your input value is 1, then which block of code will execute? This if block. If your input value is 2, then this will execute. If your input value is 3, this one. If your input value is 4, this one. In case if your input value is not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, then it will go to here invalid number. But just consider this, what is happening here in this program. When I execute this, I'm just giving my input is 9, 9 I'm giving. Yes, 9 is obviously invalid number. First it will check the 9 equal to 1, not correct, 9 equal to 2, not correct, 3 not correct, 4 not correct. Then it will go to else block, and if simply we are getting invalid number, it's fine. Okay, invalid number here. Next, once I and 4 number I'm giving. So here it is FOU or 4 you are getting here 4. And it will check from the first condition onwards. 4 equal to 1, not correct, not correct, not correct, and correct. Correct means it will consider this block. And immediately next immediate else block is going to ignore. Yes or no? Yes. But only the case of 4 is okay, and the case of invalid number is okay. But what about this case of 1? Now you can see only 1 is printing, and also invalid number is going to printing. The reason is what? Yes, in this case we have multiple ifs. This is not a nested if logic. This is multiple if logic. So there is no rule. If one of the condition is true, then other if need not to be tested. No, it will be test always. So the problem is here what? Even one of the condition is first condition is true. Yes, I have included. I just given input is 1. 1 equal to 1 is true. So print 1. It's printed here. After printing this condition through 1, and even if this is going to test other condition like 1 equal to obviously it is false, and 1 equal to obviously it is false, and it is false. So that's the reason we are your control move to else block only here in the case of only 1, something like this. Now let's run this once again. I'm taking 2 only also. Yes, 2 an invalid number. This is wrong. So to avoid this, and if any one of the condition is true, then I need not to test another if condition. Then we can go for nested if. Then nested if also we can use elif statement. Is there elif elif. Here I'm using elif. Else if it is, else space if is not valid item here in Python programming. I will tell you that why it is not valid. Now you can see elif keyword. So in this case what will happen? First condition will check. If it is correct, then it will print. Then remaining condition will not be tested. If it is correct, then it will print, and this remaining condition will not be tested. In case it is not correct, then only it will check other condition. If not correct, then only it will check other condition. So you will get clear idea here. Sorry, debug I have started, no problem. Let me run this directly, no debugging, and I'm just run this program directly. My input is 3, for example. So here it is 3. Now you can see THR is coming here only. No invalid number. If we give invalid number like 10, so that is invalid number. So this is what actually nested if also. But here, sir, why not we use else space if here? You can see else space if is not allowed. So elif is a short form of else if here. you can combinedly elif. This is valid. In case if it is if you don't want to give like this, you can go for this option here, else then if. Now you can see this is nested if, same program, and I'm just checking here. Again, after that, this if is having one more else space if, like this. This will work out. Now you can see I'm giving indentation here. Again, when it comes to inside the if block, here we have to mention else space if. This is this level of indentation you have to maintain. Finally, what I'm taking, final else block it will go, if not correct actually. Let's try to maintain. This is the case. This is nested if only here. I'm just splitting else separate and if separate, but else space if will not work out. So this will work fine. Now you can see it. Again, I started debugging, sorry, then we'll go for run. Now I'm just giving this condition here, enter number to here, to the TWT is coming. And even you can see when we enter wrong number here, so we are getting wrong number like this, invalid number. Okay, so either you can go through this option, else space if, again else if, else if, else if. This is nested if, or else I'm just pressing Control Z here and it will move to back. So this is the code, elif. This is very simple way to handle the code, same nested if only. Okay, so this is about conditional statements, and in tomorrow session we'll go for iterative statement, for loop and while loop, and break and continue and pause. In what situation we will use, we'll discuss in detail. Okay, so that's it for today, and I request you, if you want to continue these sessions, please register immediately while contacting with DurgaSoft admins people. So please registration complete, and once you complete, so that I will get your mail IDs from DurgaSoft, so that I can share my recording videos up to now, whatever I discuss, and along with material also. Okay. Yes. Other than that, if you have any question, please ask me now. I'll wait here a few minutes. We'll continue tomorrow from here onwards. Yes. Okay. See you tomorrow at same time on same link. We'll continue from here.